welcome to the Playground Experience. I have here my two co-hosts, April Williams and Kathy D. Yay! Tonight's topic is about the
Time.
it's all
Timing.
about timing.
Timing.
Like, did you hear it? I just paused. Timing, yes,
And I
timing.
rushed in. Timing.
See how the difference is? Some of us can wait on time and just go flow. Some of us got to rush it. And that's the same thing when we talk about divine timing, how it is something that a lot of us is not really too good at. And it depends on what it is. You know, like if you're waiting on something good and you know it's coming around the bend, you're like, okay, I can wait on it. But if it's something like you really truly desire deep down in your heart, oh my God, you do not have the patience of Job. You just like, I want it now. I want it now. Where is it? Damn it. I forgot. I'm sorry. I feel like I was giving a personal testimony. Okay.
Oh, that I'm all for that. I'm raising my hand. Amen. Amen to the choir here. I'm right there with you.
So yeah, so we had to. So we're talking about this time because we know definitely on this journey. My God, if you're talking about a word that's overused, like the guy talking about self care, and he's like that's so commercialized. That daggone divine timing has became a buzzkill. That's what they giving me for someone like he's coming, but divine timing must be at play. Dun dun dun. Or it's coming that job, but you gotta wait on divine timing. So it's like, oh my God. So I think that's a wonderful topic. April had came up with it, so I can't take all of the credit. And so then why did it come to you? You said about timing. What's going on?
So, timing. Why timing? Well, everybody knows that it's easier to be late than it is to be early. Spirit woke me up today and it woke me up at 5:30 and I was like, "Why, Lord? Why? I just want a couple extra hours of sleep." Actually, I just wanted like 30 minutes, but if you don't set a timer and you get up and you lay back down, you know. So I woke up at about 7 and as I was starting to do my morning gratitude, hilariously enough, my son was awake. So that means I didn't get to do my solo meditation, my solo yoga session, some of the journaling and stuff that I usually do. I'm going to have to save that till later, which is fine. But it's also like, but I. But I promised. I tried. Spirit's like, I want you to get up. And then a friend ended up posting some a song about a woman being late and him just wanting that woman to be on time, which was hilarious. And then I was in my fridge and I pulled something out of the back of the fridge and half my time had gone bad. You know what I mean? Like the box of fresh herbs of time. And I was just like, oh, okay. And now, and this is the kicker, right? I'm driving. And I look and I'm like, wow, it's an actual vanity, not a vanity plate, but like an actual vanity license. What does it say? What's that coming closer? Timing. Okay. All right. So you're saying that I get to focus on, and I even put in the message back and forth because he's saying there's a yin and yang to it, right? I'm very feminine in my nature of how I like to experience time, which is more like ebbs and flows. And as things come, they go. You know, you got to work with it. And he was very like, this is how timing. I'm teaching my daughter to be punctual, like da 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 da. And I was like, okay, this is a masculine feminine issue. And that means there's an imbalance within me and I have a resistance. So therefore I'm going to lean into it. So what better way to lean into it with my sisters, my soul sisters, and we're leaning into timing and understanding the divine timing, which everybody doesn't like, apparently. Somebody memo the divine.
Call it something else, Jesus. Call it something else, but divine timing.
You know, you say the patience of Job, and I've read through Job, and I don't know if he was patient as much as he had to be in there, and God made him.
Right. Yeah.
Why, Lord, with the divine timing?
Yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
it's interesting because you're merging. That's the word. That's what's happening here. We're merging the two concepts because we have an inner sense of knowing. Our divine highest self has all of the constructs and saying, all of this is happening and I feel the wealth, I feel the abundance, I feel the love, I feel the connection, the family, the legacy. But then you look around and you're like, but what about the timing? And you become impatient because you feel that ecstatic moment, but you may not exactly be there yet. And so falling in love with that space in between, that's what I'm here to help us cultivate today. That's what I would like to, anyway, using the three of us getting over divine timing. Wah, wah, wah. Or understanding, integrating, the having the patience, understanding the process. Because everybody knows bread tastes better when you bake it yourself, but who really wants to be breaking bread? Elbow grease and the kneading.
Yes, it's a lot, but then when it comes out, oh my God, mouth watering melts in your mouth. It's just like nothing like it. No bread tastes the same, not even at the store.
Oh, and especially with that like good Irish butter that you can buy on the
Yes, that dairy butter.
Kerrygold. Oh,
Yes, yes.
yes, that is a very good butter, and they have amazing cheese too. So,
Oh,
Ooh, I'm tasting it now.
hmm
To my clear.
I'm not lactose intolerant.
To my clear.
I'm sorry, I will eat your share.
Right.
Thank you. Do it emotely, like
Thank
say all of
you.
your emotions.
Thank you so very much. There you go, Kathy. I'm passing that. There's your share,
Oh, thank you very much. That is,
She ain't want it. Give it on away.
yeah. Oh, divine timing is an interesting situation, and I think it is where the desire lays. Because if you have so to go over divine timing for those sitting in the back row, divine timing is situations that are out of our control to a point. It is where a higher power, be it God, be it the universe, Allah, Buddha, anybody, the powers that be step in, and they are ultimately in control. That you're getting it, you just might not be ready for it yet. So divine I know. So divine timing is one of those things that we are not given. It's not like baking bread. We don't have a timer. It doesn't go ding. We know we pull it out and it's done. Woohoo. That's not kind of how divine timing works. Divine timing is there's a series of steps, and it's usually something when we're concerned with it. Divine timing happens all the time. I mean, it's missing a red light and getting a phone call when you're walking out the door that keep you from being in an accident. It can be but when it's something we're really working on, especially if we're really manifesting it, um divine timing we really have a focus on. And especially the bigger the situation is, and the more parts it has. Okay. So the more people, because if you're manifesting something, it should be not only for the good of you and whoever you're manifesting with, but then for at least two other people should be able to benefit from this manifestation. So, okay. So you've got these other people, and if they're not ready, then that's going to affect the timeline for yours. So we have to understand that all those pieces have to fall in place. You can't, like, you can't proof the yeast after you've baked the bread. I mean, there's an order, it's just like a recipe, and you have to stick with that recipe. It just seems like the more you want it, the harder it gets. And I'd say probably one of the hardest things is when everything falls into place. I mean, if you're looking for a house and you found the house and you found everything and you're set and you know where you want to go and you know what you want to do and you know how you want to do it and you know who's coming with you and you know everything and you're set and you're in agreement and you're just waiting on that divine timing, and it's like, did I miss a step somewhere? Somebody tell me something, drop the lottery tickets from heaven, do something please. um so it's that kind of thing, and it does teach us patience and it teaches us gratitude, because think about it, when you've gotten all those other things in line that probably, a while back maybe weren't even clear or didn't even know if anything ever would, you'd ever get to, own a home like that or whatever. And now that everything has fallen in place and you're just waiting for that last step, that last little nod and wink from the universe, that's hard to wait because you've done everything. And not everything. And let me rephrase. When we do our inner healing, we have to remember nobody is ever fully healed. And what looks like, people really have it together, a lot of times they don't. And those are coping mechanisms, but that's a whole nother topic. But we have to, as we have gone to a certain point in our healing where things become clearer, where we're trusting our intuition, where we are seeing the step, not just the step in front of us, but at least two steps. I mean, even the Bible talks about the lamp that lights our steps before us. Now, you think about it, if you've ever had a flashlight, you hold it close to the ground, you're only going to see one step because you're very focused and you're very scared and you're very timid. And that's usually when you hold it like that. But when you have trust and you have that faith and you know that everything's going to be okay, you tip that flashlight up and you can see all the way down the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so much of it. And that's that divine timing. They're waiting for us to lift that flashlight. They're waiting for us to be like, I'm in 100%, all or nothing, don't care, and you can start, a lot of times when we're manifesting money, we manifest certain amounts. I only want this much. And it's usually some huge amount, which is fine. Go for the gusto. I mean, that's fantastic. But then you realize when you look at your situation, you're like, 200 million would have been wonderful, but I could go with a whole lot less. And we just start to see these parameters come up on what we need for our situations. And that's where we have to bring in that timing, and we have to learn to wait, to be patient, and to be so grateful for what we've already gone through, the steps we've already taken, the healing we've already done. And we sit in that, like April says, that in between space. Being raised Catholic, I know that we called that purgatory.
Mm-hmm.
But while you're sitting in that kind of like that, divine timing purgatory, so detention, you have to be grateful for what you've gotten when you've got everything else in place and you're just waiting for that wink and that nod. Yeah, right there. There you go. That's where you have to be grateful for everything else you worked through and everything else you went through. So, and you have to truthfully, you can't be like, thank you, no, you have to truthfully and do like April does, those wonderful morning practices of gratitude and stuff, and be so thankful for it and honestly be thankful for it. And then, the universe starts moving, and we've all seen massive shifts in time. We've seen things speed up, just record time. All three of us have different situations that we have seen where things were just like, a herd of turtles, barely moving. And now all of a sudden, you've got, piranhas after a piece of meat, and so we just, as the timelines change and as we move forward, as we build our faith and our trust in the divine and in the universe or the powers that be, we work on our own ability to be patient and to not wait, because it's not really waiting. We kind of went through all of this when we talked about the divine, masculines and feminines, waiting. We're not waiting. We're not standing still going, okay, well, I'm done. There's nothing else for me to do. Come on, let's do something. No, we're being grateful. We're showing gratitude. We're moving forward still with our own healing, with our own lives. We're passing on what we've learned to other people as we move, because it's not a stagnant situation, and we can't have that time between that final divine timing and while we wait, excuse me, to be a stagnant time. We have to keep moving forward and to be patient. And I know for me personally, I fill that time with gratitude. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the foresight. Thank you for, if nothing more, thank you for the clear vision. Thank you for, the guidance. Thank you for
She's
all
quiet.
those kind of, she's like, I'm out of here. No, but and I think that helps, but a lot of it depends on where you are with the process, and that works with everybody is different with it. So that's
Yeah,
how
and
I
I call
handle it.
oh, I'm sorry. And
No,
I call that timing in between actively waiting, because that said you're still waiting on it, but you're still moving at the same time. I like to play off of words and do it in a different way. And that's what I find you a project. Here lately I find myself when I'm trying to make things manifest, I get myself in the rhythm or the energy of being a co-creator. I go create something. Maybe I might go cook something, or I might draw something, or I might dance something. I see that helps me to get in that vein. It's like, okay, I can't, but some kind of way I feel like, again, if I'm an alchemist or becoming like in the magician card, like they say, that energy where I'm actually creating things. And that also helps me to get my mind off of. So if I'm on mission, rather it's mission, like the other day I had the aha moment and said, no, I'm on a mission. My mission right now is myself, getting myself together. So if I'm on a mission of self, or have a mission of for the world, or I'm a mission of whatever that I'm doing for, also getting on track for the counterpart or whatever, my person, that kind of thing. That kind of keeps my mind like distracted, because again, with you, we keep looking at that very thing and waiting for it to manifest. Our energy and what we're projecting out there has a way of being able to deflect that very thing from coming from us, because we start to worry. That's why it's not good, like Kathy D saying, to just sit there and just like, okay, I'm waiting, because I know with me and my way of actively my thinking, my thoughts, after where it starts out real good. I got this. And the more time goes on, the more you can see it go, like, what happened to that faith? And like, yeah, let's go get this. We got this. And by the end, the more time, the more I'm thinking, okay, now maybe this ain't gonna work. Okay, cause this, that. Okay, yeah. Now let me start picking apart. That was good at the beginning, but more I think about it, I don't think that was a smart idea. I maybe I, yeah, maybe I need to kind of. And so that thing right there, that time for me, keeping myself actively doing something while knowing I'm leaving like the door open, like Bruno Mars says, I'm gonna leave the door open. I'm gonna leave the door open. If I'm gonna leave the door open, I'm still allowing for it to go on, but it's like I'm going on about my business. I like sometimes you have a person that come over and you're like, I got the door open for you, I'm back here cooking, so just let yourself in. So that same thing I'm still doing, but I'm not sitting there watching, because sometimes you watch somebody come. You're like, well, they say they're gonna be here, they around the corner. Well, what the heck, damn, where is that? Like Uber Eats or whatever like that. You're like, where my order at? I done tracked it. They said 1 minute. They ain't now down the street with my food. So the more you keep yourself active, and like the old people say, watch pot never boils. So if you're sitting there and you're watching it, it doesn't help, because after a while your energy is kind of like doing this. So if you find yourself doing other projects or things like that, that makes it all much more better for you to draw that very thing. Plus it signals, I'm getting that from my guys, to say, you signals to say, hey, I trust you. It's like you throwing the keys to the valet, as I always joke. And like I expect when I do that, when I come out of here, I'm gonna have my car. So that's the same thing. You throwing it to spirit, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna throw it to you. You take it for a drive, and then you bring back the actual thing that I asked you for. Setting intentions for me has been a very big thing. And I just say, and put it on autopilot, and that's it. And I walk away. I'm really trying to make sure that I'm taking my foot off the gas and really going over and being the co-pilot and letting the universe actually trust and get that very thing for me. Because I think also when we're talking about reflection in our divine counterparts, or even in ourselves, that is showing up with our relationship with the universe and trusting it to actually do the very things they do, is reflecting in the trust that we have with ourselves to make things manifest, and also with our person too, and maybe in the world. But it's really being reflected. That's more so up in your face. So that is one way in which we have to learn how to be able to trust. So when we ask those things, it's all boils down to trust, because that's a new thing that I'm doing now too. It's like, what does it boil down? I don't trust. That's why I got a problem with divine timing, because I don't trust. That's what it boils down to. Insecurity, yeah, yeah, it boils down to that too. And so again, so or it could even be worthy. Some of us might be asked for things and that we don't really trust and believe that we do, and we're throwing it out there. It sound cute, but then at the end of the day, like, do we really trust that it's going to come around? And we could say, oh, the divine timing, it seems like it's the now, it's not going to come. But again, do you really trust that you're really worthy of an alignment with that very good thing? So Spirit just said that when we're talking about divine timing, it's like an orchestra. And it's just like everybody has the sections. You got the horns, you got the wind section, the string section, the percussion section, all of that. And together it makes a beautiful symphony. Everything has a perfect timing.
Hiya. You're muted.
Everything has a perfect timing. That's how they come in, like with the orchestra. And it's the same thing. It's a certain person that's got to be able to sign off for this house. There's another person that's willing to purchase the house. You know, they got to get their money straight. Everything has to all come in together, and it's just like an orchestra. And the universe is conducting all of it. Your turn, your turn, your turn, your turn. Now everybody play at the same time. So that's what we have to when we're talking about divine timing, that's what it all comes down to as well. Hey, Benita.
We love you, Bonita.
Hey, Benita.
So let's go ahead and explore why we don't trust divine timing, right? Because a
Yeah.
lot of stuff today is saying, let's slow down and look at things. Let's look at why we are avoiding timing in the first place. Why we are a little bit addicted or a lot bit addicted, depending on your level of personal suffering. Why we're addicted to the concept that it's not enough, or we're not where we want to be, or we have this go, go, go mentality. And how our society and our structure has created a false sense of everything happens immediately, right? Because nature herself, by the nature of being nature, takes time. And the only things that happen quickly are typically very destructive, or they are subtle in nature and they change everything over a short period of, or they change everything over a period of time, but it starts with a sudden, swift, let's say, change of direction, right? And typically, the only time you need to act really fast, I'm thinking about in nature, is when you're hunting something. So let's say the things that should definitely take time: the nurturing of children, the growing of actually nourishing healthy food, right? Because we try to rush that. We add a lot of chemicals and all of these things. We also try to control it, which we talked about earlier, right? Where we're monocropping. So everything has to be the perfect white or yellow corn, not the 4,000 other varieties, 4,000 or 5,000 other varieties. But then we're cultivating this, and what happens? Pestilence. And now we need pesticides, and oh, they strip the ground of nitrogen, like they're heavy reducers of nitrogen, and we don't let the crops lay fallow. This is a very deep agricultural metaphor, and I apologize for those who get lost in my agricultural metaphor. um but now we have to supplement the ground with nutrition. And so, in a standard, older, more natural approach, like a Native American approach, you either let the ground lay fallow, or plant something that produces and adds nitrogen to the soil because it's been stripped of the soil. So all of these can be looked at in ways like, what do you actually need? Okay, you want to feel great about yourself, right? You want to increase your self love and your self dedication. And that takes time, because it took so long to get you where you're at the point where you're like, I want this swift change. Well, you have to keep making that change because your patterns have been set in the opposite. So, how we do that? we take that time to nourish. Oh, I'm just catching myself doing negative self talk. I'm going to switch that around. I just caught myself being negative or feeling that there's not enough around me. Let me actually shift that because I woke up safe today. I had a bed and a roof over my head today. I had food in my belly today, and I had a choice of which foods, right? Some people don't even have that choice. Sometimes as a point when you were a child, you didn't have that choice, right? You didn't have the choice of whether or not you didn't get acknowledged by your parents or your needs weren't met or they practiced some type of parenting that they were taught to do to you, but it was actually childhood torture. Now we look at it and we realize that now everybody's talking about it, but you were the guinea pigs. You know what I mean? But they came at you like, this is what we're supposed to do. This is right, right? So you go through your whole life thinking, I'm not supposed to have my needs met. Hold on just a
Right on cue. Sounded like he's being tortured back there. But I'm just playing. He is not being tortured, folks. Not at all. Not
No, he is. Yeah, he is well loved and nourished, and
very much so.
he psyched me out. He faked me out. He's like, okay, I'm going to the other room. Turn around, run back in. So it takes time to and plant what has not. Okay, I have to change this because you didn't see anything, right? Okay. Okay, I'm potty training, so I'm like, I gotta make sure there's guidelines on all the channels as there should be. But okay, he's just cruising in the corner. I think he wants milk time. Why? Because I'm doing a show, right? Any other time he could, but I'm practicing patience, right? Practicing understanding what it means to be a parent, what it means to be splitting that focus in a million different directions. But thank goodness I'm a diamond, so I'm multifaceted, so we can handle this, right? Having the patience to understand that yes, I'm loving my child in a new way that I may have not experienced as a child because both of my parents were required to work in the military, which means they had a different perspective on life altogether, a different perspective on what it meant to be duty. And that means a different perspective on who's caring for their children because it's more about keeping their job than it is about being able to focus wholeheartedly on their child. And before them, I think about how their parents were. And my dad was needed on the farm, right? So his love language is I'm going to do hard work or I'm going to keep focused on work instead of focused on family, right? And the same thing happened with or different style with my mother, you know, she was adopted and so she had a different perspective on what self-love means and what it means to be with your child and she loved me the best she could and loved me and cared for me and they always used to call me a doll baby, you know, and that made me want to be perfect. Dun dun dun, perfectionism, right? And then, why aren't I perfect yet? I've been working so hard to be perfect. I'm trying all these things. And there's different places in our lives where we're attempting to be on the level. We're attempting to be everything that we think that we're supposed to be. But the universe is funny that way, right? And this is where divine timing starts to take hold. And it says, slow down. It's saying, you're not going to get exactly what you need because I need you to understand that one, you're worthy of it. Two, we need to change your perspective so you can appreciate it. Three, you get to relove or reparent or refocus and readore yourself in new ways that you never even thought possible. Why? You're stretching the mold for who? The next generations. I'm showing and learning how to love myself in a new way so I can show and teach others and allow for that space. So when you have patience for yourself, and what it is that you're experiencing, what you're shifting for your particular family line, you're then forced to reconcile that patience with the universe, right? That's so within, so without mirror, that is this funny little dance that nobody really likes playing until they master how to play the game, how they master how to understand the self and appreciate the value of the self and the intimacy and the time that that takes. It's like we think about how society has molded the idea of the orgasm. Okay. It's a quick You just aim at it and you go for it as hard as you can. Right? I mean, that's a little blunt. It's Freaky Fridays. It's a little blunt. But in reality, it's about the savoring, right? When you have a beautiful, delicious dish in front of you, when you take the time to enjoy each bite, and you take the time to enjoy the colors and the textures and the flavors, it's more than just, hey, I finished my meal. It's, I enjoyed every bite of it. So as you're stepping towards that space of looking and pleading and begging for your particular goal set, a particular thing you really, really want, but then you obviously don't have, right? But you feel it in your heart. You're like, I've got it. Where is it at, man? What about the in between? What about that space of, oh, I'm about to get it? Because anticipation is a beautiful thing in its own right, right? I've often thought of it as different experiences, right? When does time pass quickly? Okay, so this is Twin Flame
Fun.
channel, so we're going to talk about it a little bit.
Passes when you're having fun.
Exactly. And a lot of times with your twin, it feels like forever, but it also feels like too short.
Mm-hmm.
Just a quick little blip. And so when you learn how to savor the in between, when you learn how to savor that that touch or that glance or that meal together, that energy that you feel next to each other, you give yourself permission to savor your pleasure. For some reason, people love to dwell on how much pain and how much distance, and that's kind of an old paradigm way of looking at it, right? Because we're like, we're in agony until we're not, and then we're in agony, oh, why, until we're not. And so the goal, I think, of this timing issue is to learn to savor time. Now, I want to talk about trust building, and I think, Kathy D, can you help us out with some of the trust? What
Oh
are
yeah.
some ways that we can learn how to not only trust ourselves and how to trust the universe, trust divine timing?
Well, first you have to figure out like where some of your trust or lack thereof comes from, and where have you seen it? Where did it come from? And a lot of times it's not anything. When we go through this, we find it's not anything that's ever happened to us. It's just the way things have been explained to us. Um, don't tell anybody what you're planning or any of your dreams or hopes, because they'll never come true. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, things like that. So when we have those paradigms put in our head, or those thoughts that have been passed down for every generation, we I'm going to read her poem. No, we we then embody those, and we think that, well, good things don't come to us. Our That's not our family. We don't have those things. So the first thing we have to do is, once we have identified where we don't trust, we have to rewrite it. And here's where it gets a little scary and people get a little funny about it, because we write it. So um uh, say, I don't have trust that my needs will be met. Okay. And so, with that being said, I look back at where have I had that actually happen. And then, if you've actually had it happen, then you write that down. But if it's something that you've just always been told, um, then you write that down. But then you rewrite that, and you rewrite that fear. So, like, my needs won't be met. Um, One of the big things I believed in, the trust in the universe kind of thing, was I believed that once you became a mother, you lost yourself. I no longer was Kathy. I was then, mom. I was a wife. I was all these other hats, but not me. I lost me in the process. And those of you that know more about fish wellness, that's actually a really big area of mine, is helping people, refine themselves. But you think that you're supposed to give yourself up for this. And so that's what I was taught, and that's where I saw that my needs weren't met, because I didn't speak up for them. I just, cowered down, and that's what I was supposed to do, and hunkered down. So when I rewrite those, that's when you turn it around, and that I'm worthy to allow Kathy to stand out on her own. I am worthy of being a good mom. Will I ever say I'm a great mom? Absolutely not. Am I ever going to be mom of the year? Probably not. But are my kids safe? Yes. Are they fed? Yes. Are they clean? Yes. Do they know basic manners? They do. They might not use them very often, but they do. Um, are they good human beings overall? To other people, yes. To me, probably not. But so I look at those things and I allow myself to rewrite that idea that once I became a mom, I lost myself. So then I rewrite that I become myself, but better, because I now am a mother too. Not instead, but I am also.
Mhm.
So we have to figure out what the lie is and where the mistrust comes in, and then what we've been told. So, what is it that we don't trust? What have we been told or actual experienced? And then we're going to rewrite it how we want it. Now, if you're still having a lot of trouble with this, and this is where people, and I've had clients get very uneasy with this last column, and they don't like to do it because they're afraid they're manifesting it. But it's worst case scenario. If you kept living in that lack of trust, what's going to happen? What is going to happen? So in my case, if I would have stayed living in that lack of trust and slowly losing myself, I would then have been, when my girls went off to college or went off on their own when they were old enough to leave the home, I would either, one, try to keep them from being able to leave, or two, I would not know who I was. I wouldn't be able to function because I had lost me. And that's actually one of the best assets to your children, is being yourself. So, looking at that and then saying, this is the worst case that could happen, and I don't want that. And that's where you go in and you do that negate, delete, rewrite. I want to be, and you turn it back around to that. I want to be, 2.0. I want to be a better Kathy, because I'm also a mom and a and myself and me, and not leave who we are. Now, granted, there are there are parts of myself that I do not share with my children, but I do not, you know, you learn when and where. Even as a teacher, there are parts, that this is when you're being, responsible, and this is when you're not. So, but anyway, there are other parts and times that we are ourselves. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to, one, figure out what the mistrust is. When has it ever happened? If it's ever happened. If it has, write it down. If it hasn't, if it's just something we've been told, write it down. And then rewrite it. Read what had happened, or rewrite what you have been told. Our family isn't the type to have money. That's just not our family. And you would rewrite that with, our family, to this point, has not experienced abundance. Not saying we can't. So, it's things like that. We've got to get, it's so much of it is the wording, as April always explains.
Yeah.
We call spelling for a reason. Our words hold a lot of power. Look at it with emotional and physical abuse. If you've ever dealt with a child, or even an adult, or anybody that's ever gone through that, those words, they stay in your head, and they show up at the most inappropriate times. Somebody hits you, that's going to heal. You're going to remember that. But when you're going for a job interview, you're not going to hear that you're fat and you're ugly and you're stupid from that punch in the arm. But when they use those words to berate you and break you down, then you add those trust issues in with it, that my needs are never met. And you've really got to rewrite that. And that's where that negative self-talk comes in, because you take on their words. So from being you're stupid, you're ugly, you're never going to amount to anything, you've got to have me, then you turn those words around and you say, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, I won't be able to do this, I have to have this person in my life because I can't do it on my own. And we have to rewrite that lie to then get to the trust and the truth that we can do it. And so it's some soul searching. It's almost a bit of a puzzle. But if you are lucky enough that you have great family and great friends and people that can say, you know you're none of those things. That's not you. And they can help hold that mirror up to you. um, it's an amazing thing. Actually, Benita and I went to the beach today, and we talked about this. We were talking about how when we get ready to go places, and especially if we're with friends and things like that, we want to look our best because we're out with people we love, and we don't want them to be, embarrassed to be with us or anything like that. And now it's kind of changed because we want to look good because we know we look good. We want to enhance our natural beauty inside and out. Now, granted, do we still want the other person to be, oh, this is, but at that point, it's not what other people think. And especially if you're dealing with your divine, it's one of those you just kind of want that damn kind of response from them. And that's the thing, it becomes from being, it's almost like the opposite of being a commercial artist. A commercial artist, we do all of our art for the masses. When you're a fine artist, you do your art for one, and it's yourself, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And we kind of have to go back into that as we're finding our truth, where we're finding these lies and our mistrust. We have to come back to what we do and kind of what we talked about the other day: what feels heavy, what feels light, what's true, what's not true. But so those are just, you can do the columns, you can do the heavy and the light, you can do just the art for one. Think of yourself as a creation. You're a beautiful piece of art. Everybody is. Everybody's special and spectacular in their own way and form and shape. So when we look at things that way, we're able to appreciate and then have trust and faith in the higher power, the universe, God, the powers that be, that if they, not to say, and you know what we do, we need to get a little, and we use the word incorrectly because it's not to be cocky, to be proud of yourself, to be proud of who you are. I mean, that's your lineage. I mean, you can look at yourself. I mean, oh, I got my mom's eyes. I got my grandmother's lips. I got my grandfather's nose. I got my mom's curls. So why would we talk bad about these things? I got my mom's hips, but we need to be confident in ourselves. And so much of that mistrust, and look, be like, this higher being, the powers that be, God made this. And like I used to teach my girls, I'm okay because God don't make junk. And we go back to that truth that we're okay. We might not fit in everybody's box, but who wants to fit in everybody's box? I don't want to be in a box. That's too close to a coffin. Thank you. I'll fit in my own vase. But I'm just, you have to find your truth. And when you find your truth, you find your trust. And that's really the best way to do it. It has to be an inside out kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that. When you find your truth, you find your trust, and that's true. When you authentically are unapologetic about where you are and where you're expressing. A lot of times, like you were saying about that, because I do something kind of similar to that, where it's about getting down to the truth. The first column is talking about what's the problem. The second problem thing is give me evidence as to what is supporting that idea that I'm thinking, that why I'm having issues with that. And the last one is like what's actually truly has shown up to validate that that's not true. um because like I'm getting now trained with the mind, that how the mind is as lovely as it is as a computer, but then you have that survival instinct. You've got our minds, things that we've been brought up, and it's just trained. How I just really did not know how it is just trained in some ways. If it's untrained, and we've got to train it and reel it in, for looking for such negativity, things to validate the very thing that we don't want, why we shouldn't trust it, because it's looking out there. There you go. There it is. There you go. Uh-huh. There you go. Proof right there. Uh-huh. See, I told you there. Uh-huh. And so we have to do things. And I know I was a person, and I'm telling myself, there's like, I got to write it down. Can't I just set the intentions and just go from there? And of course, yeah, spiritually, that is like where we came from. We had that running joke, Team Seraphim, like Sean said. Yeah, when we were purely a spirit energy, yeah, all we had to do was just think it, set the intentions. That's it. But now we've got, as Kathy D said, this meat suit on there. We got to kind of find a way to kind of compromise. That's why I've been telling the kids, compromise, meet in the middle. Yes, we setting forth the intentions, but guess what? I got to train this mind to get on board with what I just said. I'm going to trust this is going to be why, because I'm looking for the universe to show me proof why I'm going to get this house, how things are aligning, how I'm talking to the officer, and the officer is like, yeah, you can do that. It's going to sell real quick. Don't get scared. How you looking for things of them validating that the universe is on your side for whatever it is, and zone in on it, not to look for things that are not, because that's going to help to magnify and to draw that very thing into you, especially when we talk about divine timing. So that is very prudent, like you're saying, as far as really get in alignment and change it and make it that shift. Some of us have to really make those concrete things. The abstract don't work. Saying an affirmation is nice, or this or that, but you might have to hit with a 1-2 doozy, like and like I've been telling myself here lately, a lot of the affirmations and stuff, it ain't for God or whoever you believe in, Allah, Buddha, or the universe. The universe, I got this. When you're saying them affirmations, that's really for you to get yourself back on track. That ain't got nothing to do with us, because we already ready to do it, to serve. like we ready to serve, you know and do what you want us to do. But it's you that's got to get online. So doing those things, you have to remind yourself, hey, I got to sit down with this paper and journal this, because I got to get myself online with it, because I'm getting a little, as I can hear man from Infinite Waters, I'm getting a little shaky, baby. We're getting a little shaky. So, on that, and believing that it's actually going to come through. So that is those actions and things that we have to do, where we have to actively wait, concentrate on the mission. Those things are for us to really fulfill ourselves, and to steady us, and to keep us in the high vibe. It's not that the universe is not in alignment. Alignment, I think, again, sometimes we play that the universe sometimes is the bad guy. It's like, okay, it's not here, you said no to it, that's it, because I don't see it. So evidently you saying no to it, or evidently you saying deuces to me in my dream. You just said left me high and dry, but that's not really how it goes. Again, like they said, the adage is not a no answer, nothing coming to fruition or manifestation. Isn't a no. It's just not now, and that's what we have to kind of remind ourselves. It's just not now. It's just not right now. The time, everything is not aligned. We want it to be perfect. You want it to be able to hold energy wise in that space, that it can really come and manifest and be. And so that is truly, when we're talking about that timing, it's again, what is some things that you found yourself? I know you said gratitude, being thankful, and I'm glad you said that to even remind myself about things that I'm going through. Just that gratitude. Is there any other things that we could do to keep ourselves, I know affirmations, keep ourselves in the high vibe, or like if we just really don't see any kind of things evident. I mean, let's just keep it real. That's when we get shaky and quaky, is when like I just don't see no evidence telling me that this is about to come into fruition.
I
Well,
also
some
want to talk
oh,
about the when you see the evidence, but then the contrary, like the exact contrary comes up to you.
Okay.
Right? That's when I get offended. I'm like, Spirit, we was talking about this. We agreed upon this. And then you get a nice little slap on the behind from the universe. And I'm like, but we had agreed, like I thought it was cool,
Right.
right? I thought it was good.
I thought we cool. I thought we was like this. What happened?
Well, what happens a lot of times when we get that little swat from the universe,
Mhm.
our own minds, we have then started teetering on what we want.
True.
And we have to be certain. And it's one of those things that as things move closer, think of it like a balance beam or like a seesaw. When you're sitting there even, you got your classmate on one side, you're on the other side, you're at recess, everybody's sitting there even, you think it's so funny, dangling your little feet, and you're, ha ha, look at, and then somebody moves closer to the center, and then it kind of makes it a little funny, but then if you move closer to the center, then you even out again, and you keep moving till you're like right there at the end, and look at us, and then you pinch your legs. But anyway, the thing is, when we get to that wobbly, you got two choices. You can stay where you are and be like, well, maybe I don't want to balance. I don't want to balance anymore. Let's just go up and down. I don't want to balance. And as we get there, we get to that shaky. Well, then the universe moves back away from us and goes, okay, well, let's just do this up and down thing again. But if you think, oh, but we were balancing, I want to keep balancing because I'm going to balance. We're going to balance. And you're going to keep that idea about balancing, moving closer and closer to the center until you and the universe meet. That's when divine timing happens. But we've got to stay, I guess, faithful. We've got to stay consistent. We've got to stay strong on that idea. If it's we're going to win the lottery, we're going to win the lottery. And if you have a partner, a manifesting partner, and usually, I highly support this, and I do it with my girls. I do it with my best friend. I mean, we are partners in this manifestation. And like my youngest daughter and I will play the game Remember When. So we take what is presently going on and we make it past tense, and we make what we want to happen future tense. So the other day we went to the beach, and Jackie said, we were playing it on the way home, and Jackie said, remember when we used to have to drive to the beach and it would be almost 2 hours? And I said, yeah. And she said, but now the beach is right outside our back door. And I'm like, that's right. And so we went through and we played the Remember When game. So we're taking that and then we're reevaluating it, letting the universe know that this is what we want. This is our house. We work with it that way. The other thing is, when we're waiting for validation from the universe, we have to make sure that we don't get confused with validation from others. You don't want somebody to, because your manifestation might sound absolutely outlandish. Like that lady in the convenience store the other day when I bought the ticket and said I was going to win, it was mine, and that was that. I did win $20, but so I did win. And they all looked at me like I had 9 heads. You don't worry about what those other people thought, because you're validating your own truth. You're speaking your truth. This isn't your birthday candle wish. Okay, we're not keeping it to ourselves and we're not telling everybody. We're walking it, we're talking it, we're living it. My kids will ask, my students will ask certain questions, and I'll be like, and I answer it as if it has happened. And I explain this is as if it has happened. And I've got them now doing it, especially the seniors, as if it has happened. And, but the validation has to come when we get validation from the universe. Everybody kind of knows one of my manifestations is, to win the lottery. That would make things very nice for everybody involved. And so I'll see the word lotto, or I'll be walking by and I hear this. We were walking actually to the beach on Monday, walking onto the beach. And this woman said, did you hear about the lotto winner? And we just kept walking by, but that's all I heard. And instead of going, oh, what does that mean? What does that mean? I just went, thank you, universe. Thank you, universe. Because anytime we start to get that little bit of a wobble before we're moving on the seesaw, before anything's really moving, that little bit of wobble, that thank you, universe, is going to calm that wobble. And you're going to then be able to move closer. So we've got to we have to validate our own self. We can't let the outside world validate us. And that really goes for life and self. The only validation we need is from us.
Right.
And then, that goes back to the whole trust thing.
I got a good one. Okay. How do we, this is devil's advocate because I like to do this generally.
To
How do
me.
we yeah. How do we break the a negative addiction cycle when it has to do with validating who we are? Like, I was the victim, I was the poor kid, I was the this, I was the girl who was left behind. How do we break through that concept?
We see the positive in it. I was the girl that was left behind, but that enabled me to read so much more, and that's now why I'm an astrophysicist. Um, I was, I never, the boys that I always liked never liked me, or I was too different. They always kept me in secret, you know. Um, well, it was because they couldn't handle my personality. It wasn't that I did anything wrong. We revalidate ourselves with the lack of validation. I was always the victim. You can only be a victim once. Every other time you're a volunteer. Um, so yes, you were the victim of a circumstance you were out of control from. But what lesson did you learn from it? And a lot of times, no matter how horrific, and trust me, I've heard some horrific things. 9 times out of 10, you made it through. You made it through. I'm not saying you made it through unscathed. I'm not saying you didn't make it through without scars and other negative baggage, but you're here to tell your story, and there's somebody that needs to hear it. And that's where we go back to that gratitude in it. We've got to find the the little bit of sunshine in your life. I mean, my mom and dad were teachers. My dad actually was the full time teacher. My mom stopped working, was at home when I was little. So my family, we didn't have a lot, but you know what? I had a good upbringing. I had wonderful times with my mother. I have so many fantastic childhood memories that even with the digressions that my dad has taken, I still have those wonderful memories that have made me who I am. So when we look at things that way, where I might have been lacking in society, I find that positive. I find that golden, um, it just kind of like that little golden ring in there. Sometimes it's just the tiniest one, but in the end, it's so beautiful. And my best friend has wonderful stories like that too. And we have wonderful families, and we had a great childhood. We've had great lives. I mean, we're not done having a great life by any means. We have fantastic lives compared to if we decided to look at the negative. Huh, you're divorced. Screwed up your marriage, huh? Those kind of things. But we don't. We take ownership in what had happened, but we find the joy in it, because without that, we wouldn't have our kids.
Mhm.
Without that, we wouldn't have learned those lessons, and we'd probably still be the dangerous, cocky individuals we were before this. Uh, Not that we're still not dangerous and cocky together. We're 12 when we're together. Um, but the the negative always, I think we talk about, you can't have the dark without the light.
Mhm.
You can't have sweet without salt. You can't I mean, there's so many positives and negatives, and without the dark, we don't have when we don't see the light.
Mhm.
And with, say, dark being sour, it makes the sweet so much sweeter. So you have to have those situations, but you don't have to become those situations. And that's where you have to break that, because I was too short, because I was too fat, because I didn't have money, because I was ugly, because whatever, because I was the victim, because I was the volunteer, because I was codependent, because I was a people pleaser. All these things, because I was this, I then learned this. Because I was a people pleaser, I was a massive people pleaser. I was an only child, massive people pleaser. But you know what I did learn? I learned that in healthy boundaries, I am able to show love in so many different ways because I learned that through being a people pleaser. But you have to have those boundaries in place. I don't lose myself for them. So that's some of the good that comes with the bad. And we just have to take that and use it to night night to our to our abilities. We have to take the light to the dark. We can't, and if we stay in that mode though, and April, we all know, and I loved your question, we all know somebody that has done this, especially looking back on high school. We all have those people that we went to school with that, it's like that Bruce Springsteen song. I'm really aging myself here, but the glory days, all I want to do is sit back and talk about how great high school was, how great this was, how great that was. um yes, it's fun to reminisce and tell goofy stories and laugh and have that time. But then you also have to say, but this is what we're going to do now. This is where we're going now. This is, um, you can't stay in the past. You can't live in the past and let your future just fade away. So we have to stay out of the glory days. And we have to, see the good with the good and the bad with the bad. And the opposite of that is, not staying in the glory days where you were the sports star or whatever. But, for me, I was the weird short kid that wore really thick glasses. I was pygmy sized. Anyway, um, so I could take that as a bad thing, or I could take that as a good thing. Did it hurt when I was younger? Yeah, it hurt. It hurt being the not pretty little girl. But the good part about that was I was very much a tomboy, and my best friends were guys. And my best friend is still my best friend 40 years later. So, you know what? I will take being that weird little kid.
We are,
And a strange yet beautiful adult,
all
right?
right.
Because I myself really enjoy being as odd as I am. I just was like, I have a few people that are completely on board, right? With my little oddness. And the key is to just be completely accepting of who you are and the oddity and beauty that you are so that you can actually start to attract your soul tribe, right?
Right.
Because until you step into that alignment with yourself, you're going to end up having that friction until you learn to love yourself through it all. And sometimes where you are isn't where you um, think you need to be. We chose our assignments. We'll go back to the spiritual level of it. We chose our assignments, our families, our locations, so that we can learn and grow through it, past it, into something new, something more. And I guess, what is it you're creating? What is the you? Who is the you that you are creating? Who is the you that you are stepping into? Trusting that process takes all of the mystery out of it. And until you're at a place where you don't feel so attached to it not being with you right now, maybe go into the mysteries and the appreciation of why it's not there yet, right? Because when you let yourself shed and actually alchemize those seemingly painful experiences, it may break your heart. It may feel like it's breaking your heart. But what it does is it breaks you open to deeper pleasure, deeper love, deeper abundance in a way that you never thought possible. And it's beautiful to have your dreams come true before you. I have a lot of people, because there's a lot of reflections on abundance, and there's this interesting toss that's happening right now with people, and they're going either hard 3D fearscape or 3D 70, almost 90, like escapism type thing, where they're like, I want to surpass all of the funk and just to be in the highest realms where I'm consciously conscious, right? I'm constantly conscious. That was hard to say, actually. I'm constantly on the highest of vibrations, but reality is here on this earth plane, there are some uncomfortable parts of the journey, right? Birthing itself is a shock. If you've ever carried a child inside of you, even carrying a child is very interesting because you thought you knew yourself. You think you do. And then you're like, there's another human being inside of me, and it's actually somehow manipulating my hormones and my emotions. And now I'm just like, what? And then, like, the realization that you think you're in control, right? Those who've had near death experiences or ended up in the hospital, you think you have control, you think you're doing something, and then the universe is going to just throw you wherever it needs you to be and put you through whatever rigors it feels like for you to appreciate the taste of life, to for you to appreciate the beauty of a sunset and a breeze through your on your skin, you know? There's a lot of people that are numbed out too because they've had every need met, right? I hear these feedbacks from the people who work with extremely wealthy people, and some of them are extremely callous. If they had not had humble beginnings, some of them are numbed to the world. They're cold and indifferent, and that's why we have, I think, right now, a huge and unempathetic. We have a huge friction between wealth and not wealth because we've seen a lot of examples promoted where wealthy is callous and cold. They don't care about the homeless. They don't care about what's going on the earth, XYZ. But now we're starting to see people that have wealth that it's not about just about getting their nice bag and their shoes, but they're actually like, I want to help some people, you know? I'm more than just I'm going to show you my awesome jet that I fly around in, but I'm going to show you where I land on the other side and I actually help out this village. I'm going to show you how I'm helping bring cold, clean water to these people. I'm going to show you that it's more than just anything that they're having issues with in the government, but it's more about actually getting in the ground with the people, getting the shoes to people, getting feminine care products to homeless people in our own country, feeding people, you know? And as
Helping with
our
schools.
community, yes, helping with schools, helping them get school supplies,
Yeah.
you know, just getting food. I remember when we were having those moments where people were like, we don't know, we can't send our kids to school. How are we going to feed them? The schools were giving out food. And it's beautiful to see us come together. These things exist. And so now that we know that, let's tap into the abundance of that. Let's
Mhm.
tap into the love of that, right? Let's be grateful for that. Yeah. So you didn't get the car you wanted exactly when you just went like this. I want my car. Hello. I wrote it down. I did my 3 by 6 by 9. Where my shit at? No, it's not like that.
What?
It's like I'm getting into my vibration so that I know I'm still a good person once I receive my vehicle. Once I go and sign for that house, I know that I've helped so many XYZ people with that, you know? I've also
And
got over the imaging where I'm holding myself back. I don't want to be seen because I was judged before. But now, you know what? I don't care if you judge me because I'm making that money because I'm helping myself and my people. I'm helping myself in this community. Exactly.
where's my coins at? Where my dollars at?
Hello. I ain't wearing this red for Venus Day for no reason. Pleasure the goddess. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Take a little trip. Take a little trip. Take a little trip
Slip
with
with
me.
me. No.
Abundance flows
Yeah.
when you're really ready. Dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun, 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 dun. Ah, what happened now? How you get out the
She's
screen?
frozen because she's frozen. There's no
Oh
point
my
in having her
God.
sit there
Let
looking
it
like that.
go. Let it go. All right. And see, right on the time, I thought we about to, the dog unplugged the, oh, Lord. I guess he said,
Well,
that. We don't want to hear that no more. Yeah, but I'm in agreement, especially what we're saying about, I just try to banter, about,
Heather D, come back.
she coming back. She got to plug herself back in. The dog went and
You
unplugged.
know, finish at 11 today.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah,
Pending.
and so yeah, so all those things I think that we talked about, it was very good as far as us understanding how to wait in divine timing and not to make divine timing such the bad guy. So that would be really good. Is that frozen? No, it's not frozen. So that is something that we really need to take in account. That sometimes it's going to take a little work. Sometimes it's a lot of focusing on yourself. It's get yourself in alignment. Sometimes it don't have nothing to do with the universe. It's about you, and your mind is not right. And I do understand that I'm right in the thick of the middle of something right now. And everything you all was speaking to me, I was like, you're right. I'm just kind of like I'm double dutching, digging in my potatoes, and it's like universe like in. I'm like, wait a second. I'm waiting for like on Abbott Elementary School. She's like, I'm waiting for the time for it to go up, and it's like, well, you come on, cause our lunch period gonna be over. It's like, well, maybe I would be in if you stop being so double handed. And she's like, and then another teacher jumps right on in, and it was like, dun dun dun, and start doing it. So hey, that's it. We got. Did we do a wardrobe change?
No, we had to switch to our phone because, like I said, the dog unplugged me.
Unbelievable. So all of those things is exactly what we have to practice in order to get into that. What is we was trying to do it in 111. So do you want us to sign off and that's it? Do it because it's right in 111. It's about to pass that really actually. What is there anything in the community tab? Anything? Nothing.
Nope, still getting
I
the
got a new
website up.
course in the works I'm excited about.
Oh, okay. Come on, hit
But
it.
it's called Meditation and Masturbation, and it's about pleasure and how to heal the body with pleasure and how to actually start anchoring in going into pleasure for change versus going into pain for change. Because for some reason, y'all be loving these tower moments, and sister girl over it already. Because I know that we don't need that.
That makes sense. Yes, yes,
Well,
yes.
they
So
said you can
anchoring in pleasure.
manifest faster too with pleasure. So
Not
Yes, and that's how we do it as goddesses, right? What's that dark feminine energy that I got a song for you guys after we're pow, but yeah, let's do this.
all right then. Okay then. That don't mean if you need services, just go and hit me on Divine Unisouls 11.co and I'll be right there for you. All right then. Okay, so get us on out of here, Kathy D.
um, clean out all the virtual sand and out of your shoes and socks, unless you're at the beach with me, and then you have real sand in your shoes and socks. Clean up around the sandbox and wishing you your best life ever. See you real soon.
All right, April Williams.
Stay blessed, stay golden, and remember, you were made for this golden life.
All right, as always, stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascended. Namaste and Nama go. All right then. Until next time. See you on the playground experience.